All right, Sister Richins, it's your last Friday as a missionary, your last groundskeeping day.
Yep.
You took us on a tour and we got to see a lot of things. What was your favorite area to work on? Like when they said we're doing this today, you're like, yay!
During the summertime, whatever area there was shade. Didn't matter where, if there was shade, it was great and I was thrilled and it was a happy day. I don't know if there was like a specific area because you have the plants spread throughout. I liked deadheading a lot. It hurt my back to do it for long periods of time, but it was enjoyable. The first time you blow with like the gas blowers, it's fun, but it was way too much for my back. I could not do it for long periods of time. So, weeding, I found I enjoyed. I found that if I was in a grassy area, I didn't like it. The prickly of dry grass and stuff like that, I didn't appreciate. But if it was like, it had rained in the morning, I enjoyed getting wet and muddy.
That's fun.
So when it was wet and muddy and weeding, that was a fun thing.
And you were here year round. What would you do when it was like cold outside? Was there still stuff to be done?
We still had stuff to weed. The tree rings were often a priority during the winter time.
And picking up sticks after every windstorm.
Picking up sticks after every windstorm. I did quite a bit at the beginning with Elder Hardy. I'm sure we did stuff. Organizing and cleaning was something that we did during the winter time too, if it got really cold.
Oh, like organizing the
tools, cleaning
the tools.
out the tools.
Yeah, we got the shed over there.
I have spent multiple Sundays. Richard grew up in poverty and he's a little bit of a hoarder. And so going through and convincing him, no, we don't need to hold on to this. These are how many broken tires? Do not hold on to these broken tires. So.
What was the most hated assignment that you got as a groundskeeper? Was cleaning the fountain
Probably.
in the heat, wearing rain
just
gear?
Cleaning the fountain in general. It was never comfortable because you had to wear that like wetsuit almost of overalls. And so even if it was cold outside, you'd still get sweaty from that underneath and it was just gross. It was fun the first time of novelty of like, oh my gosh, I'm
in the fountain.
But after that it was like, no.
I already know the answer, but what part of the temple grounds did you, well, I know a couple. What part of the temple grounds did you not know about until you were a service groundskeeper?
Back 40, and the temple president's house, I don't think I really remember.
So back 40 is?
There's a driveway over there. You keep following it, go around the temple president's house. You can see it on a map. We have like 25 acres
Really?
Of land for the temple. I don't know if that includes the stake center. I don't know that math. But a lot of it is this back area where we turn wood chips into mulch, our own, like here. And we dump weeds, branches.
So it's a huge composting pit that.
Yes, that is not necessarily super maintained. And
you got this much for pretty.
And there's a fun path to drive the gator to get to it. So.
Okay, and then what about things that the normal patrons can see? Because we can't go to the back 40. What things that patrons can see?
There's a little nook behind the grove area that you have to cross that little street there.
So if you go down the back driveway and then go on the right side of the back driveway, there's a cute little.
There's even steps that are like right by where cars come in and out, and that goes to that path. And there's, I think, what we officially call bridle benches and a little archway with plants on it. It's not super well maintained, so like if you know what the weeds look like, you can tell there's weeds there.
But it's quiet, and in the spring with all those.
If you ever come to temple grounds and it's really busy and chaotic, and people are doing scripture study, I've seen those fill up, so it's not super secret. But other than that,
about the amount of edible produce.
Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff.
Was that a surprise to you?
It wasn't always that way. It's once Richard became in charge, he's been sneaking more and more and more. Potatoes were not there my first year, but now potatoes have almost overgrown everything.
And do you ever harvest the potatoes?
Yes.
And how do you harvest the potatoes?
Well, we don't do a ton of harvesting, but once we do, we rip the plants out, and any potatoes that easily come out, we take. And I hope he doesn't do this year. But last year, he just said we're leaving the ones that are too deep for fertilizer, and I think that's why we have so many potatoes right now.
Because they just grew to the next year's.
Yep.
And then he's served you some things. What was a new food you had that was grown here on the temple?
Cooked stinging nettle was one of them. Tons of weeds he's handed me, and I try it, and oh, that one's good, and oh, that one's not great. I didn't find, there's one that I really enjoyed last summer that just thrived, and in the heat of the day, me and Cassie would munch on these all.
Do you know what it was?
I don't even remember the name. It's kind of like a lemony spinach, except for the texture is these tiny little leaves like this growing on like a vine.
Oh.
But it's like a round vine, and it's not super strong, so like it's very water dense.
Yeah.
So if I find it one day, maybe I'll show you.
But
sure
right now there's not any out, so.
Mostly they were by the ovals, and I know I saw them 2 weeks ago, but we just needed them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I tried it then again.
What hidden? Oh, sorry.
No, I think that's it.
What hidden talent of Richard's surprised you or was amazing?
One of the things I really liked was you can get Richard to talk spiritually, have a spiritual rant about anything. So if you're ever avoiding doing temple grounds work, you just start a slightly theological conversation with him. Or, you get distracted because ADHD, and so you haven't started yet, and you're catching up, and then you start a whole conversation that can last over an hour. He does woodworking. So he has made all of these ornaments and other things like that.
Further away from the car.
That has been super fun, seeing him and giving him advice. And he tried to do a website and did it all wrong. Oh my gosh, I got to advise him, and he was like, the website, the whole premise is he's like, the world is so negative. And like, there's no Christ in Christmas anymore. I make these ornaments, put the Christ back in Christmas and the joy back into the world. And I pointed out to him that on his website, he spent like 3 or 4 paragraphs describing how the world was so terrible and how life was so terrible and hard, and there's no Christ in Christmas.
And that's not what he was going for at all, for vibe.
You do realize that when people are shopping, they don't want to be reminded of all the terrible things in the world. Most of the time when people shop, they're trying to avoid terrible things in their life and are impulse buying. So don't tell them that.
He makes every year Christmas ornaments with the year and the Seattle Temple.
During the year too, he makes these little things with the temple on it, and he gives to brides and grooms when he catches them. And I've given them to people who got their endowments out. When there's youth projects that come, he makes them for them. So
that's awesome.
He's done all sorts of things. He has his own like website and stuff that he makes custom stuff too.
What will you miss? I know you won't miss the heat.
Won't miss the heat. Well, the thing I already miss is the people. Austin and Cassie were here when I started, and
what were their Sister
Sadler and Elder Hardy when they started. And they've both moved on from their missions, and so I don't get to work with them anymore. It was very lively. Some of the workers, all of the workers have left, except for Richard, since the beginning. So
now it's all the new ones.
Well, Kyle was a temp that he became full-time, so I didn't know him very well at the beginning of my mission. But it wasn't like he was brand new. But yeah, those people, we had great discussions as we were doing stuff together, weeding, whatever needed to get done. I also will miss I do realize that like doing physical activity and like is very rewarding for me. It sucks when I'm in pain the next day because I'm not great at stopping, but it was a very good experience to make sure that I was still out and doing things on my mission instead of, here, let me go to this desk, or let me run/walk around the temple, which plenty of steps, my gosh. But getting to see your progress of, oh look, I weeded this area, and you can see and it's done, and it's not dependent on like human interaction. I learned a lot about plants. And
yes, you did.
Very good at working on my leadership skills, because once I figured out things, I could tell people what to do real well. And I could communicate well with Richard, so I could understand what we wanted, what we were gonna do. And then you do this, you do this, you do this, because you need someone in charge to get everyone going, otherwise it's unproductive. Because oftentimes in a project, we don't need everyone raking. We need some people doing this and some people doing that. And I'm gonna miss Elder Old slightly. He came in later in my mission with special needs. At the very beginning, it was very fun and interesting because, you know, I hadn't worked with him, and so it was challenging, and everything was new. It was a puzzle, yeah. Now he has the same conversations over and over and over again, and so it can be slightly frustrating at times, but he's such a sweet spirit, and he's very strong, so it's been great working with him. I'll miss him. Not enough that I'll, like, come back and, like, put a ton of effort, but enough that, like,
he'll be in your thoughts, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Did you appreciate how many square inches of groundskeeping there are to keep up with?
Yes. You know, I'm really glad I was never the one mowing the lawn. That was usually Wednesdays, and I don't work Wednesdays, so.
Oh, good.
There's so many things, and we've been terribly understaffed, but.
And when you started your work, it was a pandemic, and the temple was mostly closed, all the way closed?
At the very beginning, it was only open for living. I think at the very beginning, it was only open for living ceilings.
Yeah.
No, that's not right, because I was
ceilings, because missionaries went out at the very, very beginning.
No, because I got endowed a month before, or a month and a half before I started.
That's true. And how many people were allowed at your endowment?
I think 17 total.
Yeah, because it was still pandemic. So how is it, what's the difference, like mood or atmosphere of working the temple when hardly anyone was coming because it was mostly closed
well,
to
I was
now?
only in the baptistry, which
like outside.
Outside? There's more people now, so you have to be a lot more cautious of making sure there's not dirt on the sidewalk, or like leaves, and making sure it's tidy as we're working. There's more cars now, so you used to be able to just pull the gator into like a couple parking spots, and now like oftentimes it's filled all the way up, unless you get it early in the day. Power washing was a lot easier when there was less people.
Oh, these people are making a mistake.
It's okay.
No, the grass is so wet. I don't know if they know how wet the grass is.
Yeah, well, we were messing with sprinklers earlier today, so this area is kind of more wet, but it's not soggy on this side.
Well, thank you for giving me this much of your time.
Yeah.
I wanted to capture this amazing once-in-a-lifetime experience to have committed one day a week to the outside of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I would probably never do again, but I appreciated doing it. So.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna walk over. Oh, except not stepping because it carefully raked.
Yeah, do you see? You raked it.
You carefully rake it to make it pretty.
Look fluffy. Elder Stapley did a terrible job because you can see the rake lines.
Really, I like the rake lines. I thought that was intentional.
If they're uniform, I guess they could be, but.
Now you've got perfection on your brain.
I've always had perfection on my brain.
All right, I just wanted the back of the temple with you in it.
That was the hardest thing with this is like, okay, with the work that I do, you get to a certain point where you have to just accept it as it is, and it's never going to be perfect because it's plants and nature and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
but you would be frustrated because you wanted to make it perfect?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations, Sister Richins.